Have you ever looked at someone and felt a chill, a sense that something essential is missing behind their eyes? That their smile, their charm, might conceal a hollow emptiness? What if I told you that the world is filled with people who appear alive, yet carry no spark, no true essence within them? Shadows walking among us, wearing masks that hide the absence of a soul. We live in a reality where perception deceives, where charisma can mask corruption, where laughter can hide darkness. To encounter a soulless person is to glimpse the subtle fracture between appearance and reality, between energy and essence. These beings exist not to harm you directly, but to reflect what you fear to acknowledge within yourself. And if you learn to see them clearly, you step into a realm of power most people never even notice, a secret knowledge about the invisible architecture of human nature. This is not fiction. This is a hidden law of existence. And tonight we will explore how to recognize them, understand them, and most importantly, ensure their shadows cannot touch your light. Soulless people are not simply different in behavior. They operate according to a hidden logic that most of us cannot immediately perceive. Their differences are subtle at first, almost imperceptible, like ripples in water that hint at a disturbance beneath the surface. When you are in their presence, something feels off, though you might struggle to articulate it. The warmth that radiates from genuine souls is absent. Instead, you sense a hollow vibration, a weightless emptiness that pulls at the atmosphere around them, as if the very energy of the room bends toward their lack rather than away from it. They are walking anomalies, bodies filled with habit and mimicry, yet absent the vital force that animates life itself. Their words are carefully constructed echoes of others' experiences, emotions, and wisdom. They do not speak from the center of being, because they have none to speak from. Their laughter, their excitement, even their anger, is performed with precision, learned from observing the living rather than originating from themselves. In social gatherings, they might seem magnetic, capable of drawing attention effortlessly, yet every interaction leaves a residue of unease, a subtle sense that something essential has been borrowed or stolen. Over time, if you are sensitive, you begin to notice the patterns. Their presence feels like walking through a shadowed forest in which the trees move slightly differently than the natural order, familiar yet wrong, beautiful yet hollow. Soulless people exist in a state of constant imitation. Their reality is largely borrowed from external sources, cultural norms, behavioral scripts, and emotional reactions they have learned to reproduce with mechanical precision. Their energy is not generative, it is consumptive. They absorb vitality from those around them, often unconsciously, and give nothing of true substance in return. This is why, when you encounter them repeatedly, you may feel drained, depleted, or subtly manipulated. It is not necessarily malicious, though in some cases it can be. It is simply the natural consequence of an absence of inner light. These individuals often thrive in environments that reward appearances over essence. In offices, social media platforms, and even families, they can appear highly successful, charming, or even wise. But closer observation reveals the cracks. Their decisions are guided more by survival, manipulation, and perception than by authenticity. They lack curiosity for life itself. They rarely reflect, rarely innovate, rarely experience awe. Their presence is always reactive rather than creative. And yet, because the majority of society measures success externally, through status, possessions, and visibility, the soulless can often seem more alive than those who nurture their inner essence quietly, away from the spotlight. Understanding them requires a shift in perception. You must learn to read energy rather than appearance. The soul, though invisible to the eye, radiates a subtle frequency. You feel it in interactions, in the stillness of a room, in the resonance of a conversation. The soulless emit a discordant vibration, a hollow echo of what it means to be fully alive. The more attuned you become, the more obvious it is that their life lacks generative depth. Their connections are transactional, their emotions borrowed, their intentions driven by survival or desire for control, rather than by alignment with the larger currents of life. And yet, encountering them is not only a warning, it is a lesson. Their existence highlights what is most valuable: presence, authenticity, and the cultivation of one's own energy. By observing the soulless, we learn to discern subtle layers of human interaction, to recognize what is borrowed versus what is originating from the soul. We become sensitive to resonance, able to feel not just what people say, but the invisible life force behind their words and actions. In this way, the soulless are paradoxically indispensable. They illuminate the invisible structure of existence, showing us what it truly means to be alive and connected. To live among them without awareness is to allow shadows to dilute your energy, to be drawn into cycles of imitation, deception, and subtle manipulation. But to recognize them is to step into a higher plane of perception. Suddenly, ordinary encounters become rich with insight. Every interaction becomes a test of discernment, every relationship an opportunity to practice presence. The world itself shifts from surface appearances to the invisible currents that define reality. What was once unnoticed, the hollow laughter, the mirrored gestures, the calculated charm, becomes glaringly clear, and your understanding of human nature deepens in ways that are both humbling and empowering. This is the subtle, intricate dance of energy that defines the presence of soulless people. They're not simply bad or evil, they are echoes of life that never learned to originate. And in their reflection, we glimpse the contours of true essence, the vitality, authenticity, and conscious presence that defines what it means to be fully alive. Recognizing these currents and learning to navigate them is not just a skill. It is a pathway to mastery, a doorway to understanding the invisible architecture of human life, and an invitation to cultivate your own soul with deliberate attention, intention, and presence. You might think you understand the nature of soulless people, yet the truth is far stranger and more unsettling than appearances suggest. Here is where perception begins to twist, where the mind struggles to reconcile what it senses with what it believes. A soulless person can often appear more alive, more vibrant, more magnetic than those whose souls are fully awakened. They can charm a room effortlessly, command attention with minimal effort, and leave trails of influence that seem almost supernatural. And yet, beneath this compelling exterior, there is nothing, an emptiness so profound that it can only be felt, never fully seen. This is the paradox: vitality without essence, movement without direction, presence without life. It creates a tension in your perception, a friction in the mind that compels you to look deeper, to question what you thought you knew about human nature. You may meet someone whose smile feels like warmth, whose laughter seems contagious, yet in the hours, days, or weeks that follow, you sense a subtle drain, a hollowing, as if energy itself has been siphoned from the space around you. You feel alive and exhausted simultaneously, and the contradiction is impossible to ignore. What is even more disorienting is the uncanny adaptability of the soulless. They mirror your emotions with perfect precision. They reflect the energy of a room, the tone of a conversation, the unspoken desires of those around them. This mimicry is not conscious in the same way we understand performance. It is instinctive, a survival mechanism rooted in the absence of self. They navigate social spaces like shadows, learning the rhythm of light. And yet, no matter how convincing their imitation, the resonance of life cannot be fully replicated. Something intangible, yet unmistakable, is always missing. This tension, the collision of perceived vitality with invisible emptiness, is what creates the curiosity loop. It traps your mind in a state of questioning. How can someone appear so alive and yet feel so hollow? How can charm, influence, and charisma coexist with absence? It is a subtle mental paradox that forces you to sharpen your perception, to feel beneath the surface, and to recognize the currents of energy that most people ignore. Every encounter becomes a riddle, every interaction a test of discernment. And then there is the deeper twist. Soulless people are often mirrors, reflecting parts of ourselves we would rather not confront. When you sense emptiness in another, it is rarely just about them. It is a call to examine your own depth, your own presence, your own capacity to radiate energy and essence. They expose what is underdeveloped, dormant, or ignored in our own souls. They are not merely obstacles or predators, they are catalysts, invisible teachers guiding you towards self-awareness through discomfort and tension. The curiosity loop extends further when you realize that this paradox is not fixed. People can move towards soulfulness or deeper emptiness depending on their choices, their awareness, and their willingness to cultivate authenticity. Every encounter is layered, a test of perception, a reflection of self, and an opportunity to navigate life with greater precision. The mind struggles because the world itself is not linear. Reality is an interplay of visible and invisible, presence and absence, essence and imitation. The friction created by soulless people is the tension that awakens discernment, intuition, and subtle perception. You may even find that the more you look, the less comfortable you feel. Ordinary social interactions begin to feel loaded with potential insight. Conversations are no longer merely words, they are vibrations, currents, tests of resonance. The very act of paying attention becomes an initiation into the hidden geometry of human energy. Every smile, every gesture, every carefully chosen word becomes a signal to be read, not a simple action to be accepted at face value. The paradox of seeming vitality and invisible emptiness forces your mind to expand, to operate on multiple levels simultaneously, and to awaken to the truth that most humans are not simply defined by what they say or do, but by the energy they carry, the essence they radiate, or fail to radiate. And it is here, within this friction, this discomfort, this paradox, that transformation begins. The curiosity loop is not a trap, it is a door. It forces attention, sharpens awareness, and draws you into the invisible currents of life. Once you learn to navigate this tension, once you understand how to recognize presence versus imitation, the world becomes a profound landscape of energy, vibration, and subtle truth. And you begin to realize something extraordinary. The soulless are not just shadows behind masks. They are the necessary contrast that illuminates the light, depth, and presence that define your own soul. The deepest truth about soulless people is not immediately apparent. At first glance, it seems they are anomalies, rare exceptions, or simply flawed individuals. But the reality is far more profound. They exist as a counterbalance, a shadow dimension of human life that illuminates the invisible architecture of existence itself. To truly understand them, you must first understand what a soul is and what it is not. A soul is far more than consciousness, personality, or intelligence. It is the vibrational core of life itself, the subtle energy that radiates through intention, awareness, and presence. It is what allows humans not merely to exist, but to truly live, to shape reality, to connect meaningfully with others and with the universe. Soulless people, by contrast, are empty conduits. They lack this inner fire. Their energy is borrowed, replicated, or reflected. They absorb vitality without creating it, echo existence without generating it, and mimic connection without feeling it. Every smile, every word, every gesture is a shadow of something they do not own. This is not evil in a conventional sense. It is a profound absence. And yet, their existence is essential, not to harm, but to act as a mirror for those who are awake. By encountering them, we are confronted with the boundaries between presence and absence, life and hollow imitation, awareness and mechanical survival. This recognition carries immense metaphysical weight. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You begin to perceive reality differently. Ordinary interactions are no longer superficial. Every conversation, glance, and action contains layers of energy, vibration, and intention. The soulless reveal the hidden rules of existence. That life is not measured by appearances, possessions, or social influence, but by the authenticity of presence, the depth of energy, and the resonance of the soul. They are, paradoxically, invisible teachers of subtle discernment. To truly awaken to this insight is to experience a shift in perception. You begin to notice not only the absence of soul in others, but also the presence of it in yourself and in those rare individuals whose essence radiates effortlessly. You understand that power, influence, and charm are not proof of life. They are often hollow reflections of what the living radiate naturally. Real life force, real essence, cannot be faked. It is recognized through intuition, through the feeling of resonance that cannot be measured by logic or observation alone. And then comes the profound revelation. The soulless are everywhere, and yet their shadows cannot touch you unless you allow them to. Your awareness, your energy, and your presence are your shields. They are not invincible, but neither are they malicious by nature. They simply operate in the absence of the vibrational reality that governs existence. The moment you cultivate presence, clarity, and energetic discernment, you begin to navigate life with a new kind of freedom. You can move through the world without being drawn into empty cycles of imitation, deception, or emotional manipulation. You begin to inhabit a higher plane of perception where life itself reveals its hidden structure. This understanding transforms relationships, social dynamics, and even your perception of time and causality. Every encounter becomes a lesson in resonance, every connection an opportunity to cultivate or recognize vitality. You start to see the invisible currents beneath words, gestures, and appearances, and you recognize that your own soul is both the compass and the anchor. Life no longer flows blindly, it flows with intention, alignment, and the conscious shaping of energy. In essence, the soulless are the negative space in the painting of human existence. They define the contours of vitality by their absence. They illuminate the invisible boundaries of presence by their hollowness, and they compel the living to awaken, to cultivate their own essence, and to radiate life in ways that are unmistakably real. To encounter them, to perceive them, and to navigate their shadows is to step into mastery, not mastery over others, but mastery over perception, energy, and self. It is a revelation that echoes through every layer of human experience, that life is not simply to be survived, but to be inhabited consciously, with a soul that radiates, resonates, and shapes reality itself. Perhaps now, after understanding the nature of the soulless, you feel a subtle unease. Perhaps you wonder whether you have unknowingly crossed paths with one, or whether in some moments, parts of yourself have mirrored that emptiness. The truth is, we are all walking within gradients of light and shadow. None of us are entirely void, yet none are perfect. The distinction lies in awareness, in presence, and in the courage to face what exists within us. The soulless force us to confront what we might otherwise ignore, the dormant corners of our own energy, the areas of life where we go through the motions rather than living fully. Think of the moments when you have interacted with someone and felt drained, manipulated, or subtly unsettled without knowing why. Perhaps you dismissed it as miscommunication, personality clash, or coincidence. But in truth, your intuition was alerting you to an absence, a hollow resonance, a misalignment of essence. These encounters are deeply human experiences, and they serve a purpose far beyond the discomfort they cause. They are invitations, silent, often overlooked calls to examine your own energy, your own soul, and your own relationship with presence. This is where your personal power lies, in the recognition that the soulless are not simply others to be feared or avoided. They are mirrors, reflecting back the parts of yourself that have been neglected, suppressed, or unexamined. Perhaps there are areas in your life where you have been performing rather than being, echoing what society or others expect rather than expressing your true essence. Perhaps you have allowed external circumstances to dictate your energy rather than cultivating your own inner life. The presence of these shadows is a reminder that the cultivation of your own soul is not optional, it is essential. It is also a deeply human truth that the emotions stirred by the soulless, frustration, suspicion, discomfort, are not signs of weakness, but of awareness. They are the alarm bells of intuition, the subtle signals that life itself sends when the invisible threads of authenticity and essence are disrupted. By tuning into these signals, by trusting your inner perception, you begin to build a profound relationship with your own energy, learning to protect it, nurture it, and expand it. And here is the most important insight. Your journey does not require isolation or fear. You do not need to withdraw from the world or mistrust every interaction. Instead, it calls for attentiveness, discernment, and self-honesty. The more you cultivate awareness of your own soul, the more natural it becomes to navigate the presence of soulless individuals without being pulled into their hollow currents. You learn to engage with clarity, to act from depth rather than reaction, and to radiate a life force that cannot be absorbed or diminished by the shadows around you. Ultimately, this chapter of understanding is not about judgment. It is about recognition, empowerment, and intimacy with your own essence. The discomfort, the subtle fear, the awareness of hollow presence, it is all part of a process that is profoundly human and deeply transformative. Every interaction, every shadow, every reflection is an opportunity to anchor more fully into your own soul, to become a living testament to the power, vibrancy, and authenticity that defines truly awakened existence. By seeing the soulless clearly, by observing the void they carry, you are in effect learning to see yourself clearly. You are learning to honor your own energy, to protect it, and to cultivate a life that radiates depth and presence. And in this recognition, a quiet, intimate connection forms, not only with your own essence, but with the subtle, hidden currents of reality itself. You begin to understand that the greatest wisdom is not found in avoiding the shadows, but in learning to walk among them with clarity, awareness, and the certainty that your light is untouchable. To awaken in a world filled with shadows is not an act of rebellion against others, it is an act of mastery over yourself. The recognition of soulless people is not meant to fill you with fear or anger, it is meant to illuminate a deeper truth. The power to navigate life rests entirely within your own energy, your own presence, your own cultivated essence. Every interaction you have, every relationship you maintain, is an opportunity to exercise this power, to observe, to discern, and to respond from the core of your being rather than from habit, reaction, or borrowed energy. Begin by attuning yourself to subtle currents. Notice how energy feels in the presence of others. Observe the weight, the pull, and the resonance of each interaction. Ask yourself, does this person radiate life, or do they echo it? Do they inspire, nourish, and elevate, or do they subtly deplete, distract, and manipulate? The answers will not always come immediately. They arrive as subtle feelings in your body, shifts in perception, an intuitive sense of alignment or misalignment. Learn to trust these inner signals, for they are the most accurate compass you will ever have. Next, cultivate your own energy deliberately. This is not metaphorical, it is a practical, mystical practice. Protect your time, your attention, and your space. Engage in activities that strengthen your presence, reflection, meditation, conscious breathing, time in nature, and deliberate creation. Fill yourself with experiences that deepen awareness and resonate with life. The more fully you inhabit your own soul, the less power the soulless have to influence your reality. Their hollow shadows cannot dim what is already illuminated. Another essential step is conscious discernment. Recognize that not all encounters require confrontation, judgment, or severance. Sometimes, simply observing and understanding the nature of empty energy is enough. Other times, boundaries must be drawn with clarity and intention. This is not an act of hostility, it is an act of self-respect, a declaration that your essence will not be borrowed, drained, or diminished. Every boundary, every choice, every moment of awareness strengthens your connection to life and to your own soul. Finally, allow the presence of the soulless to awaken gratitude for the vibrancy of the living. Every hollow interaction is a mirror reflecting the value of what is real, authentic, and generative. By learning to navigate their shadows without being consumed, you step into a higher plane of perception. You begin to live with awareness of invisible currents, able to sense authenticity, intention, and vitality in every encounter. Your interactions become rituals of energy, each choice a reinforcement of your own presence, each relationship a reflection of your cultivated soul. The mystical power of this awakening is subtle but profound. It is not loud or dramatic, it is the quiet mastery of perception, the steady cultivation of presence, and the deep recognition that reality itself responds to the vibration you carry. When you act from the core of your being, aligned with your own soul, you are no longer a passive participant in life. You are an active force in the unseen architecture of existence. Shadows may move around you, but they cannot touch what is alive, radiant, and consciously anchored within. This is your invitation, not to fight the soulless, not to curse the hollow, but to awaken, to see clearly, to cultivate depth, and to radiate presence so undeniable that emptiness cannot influence it. Step into this awareness, practice this discernment, and watch as the world transforms around you. Life begins to reveal its hidden currents, its subtle geometry, and its infinite layers of truth. And in this awakened state, every shadow, every hollow presence becomes a teacher, a guide, and ultimately, a reminder of the brilliance of your own living soul. In the stillness of reflection, after you have journeyed through understanding, recognition, and awakening, you begin to notice something extraordinary. The soulless are never truly separate from you. They are not intruders in your world, but mirrors in the vast hall of existence. Their emptiness defines the contours of vitality. Their hollow presence highlights the brilliance of your own essence, and their shadows serve as subtle markers along the path of consciousness. To see them clearly is not to fear them, but to understand them as part of the intricate, invisible tapestry of life. The masks they wear, the hollow charm they display, the energy they siphon, these are not obstacles. They are contrast, the negative space that allows the light to be recognized, the depth to be measured, and the soul to be honored. And in this recognition, a quiet truth emerges. Mastery over life is not the power to change others, but the ability to inhabit your own energy fully, without compromise, without distraction, without fear. It is the knowledge that presence, depth, and authenticity are inviolable when cultivated with attention and intention. You may carry this awareness into your relationships, your work, your daily interactions, and your inner life. Every moment becomes an opportunity to discern energy, to nurture your own vitality, and to move through the world with the calm certainty that the shadows around you cannot touch what is alive within. Life itself becomes a reflection of your inner resonance. You begin to perceive not only what is, but what could be, sensing hidden patterns, subtle currents, and the infinite possibilities that arise when you align with your own soul. And yet, this understanding is not loud or forceful. It is quiet, subtle, and almost imperceptible, a gentle shift in perception that alters everything. The soulless continue their wandering, the masks remain and the shadows persist. But you, awakened, attuned, and centered, move among them like a beacon. You no longer need to react, to defend, or to resist. The hollow cannot penetrate the vibrancy of a conscious, present soul. Your awareness itself is armor, your presence a light that reveals what is real and discards what is empty. In the final understanding, life is revealed as an intricate dance of light and shadow, essence and absence, presence and reflection. The soulless are the necessary counterpoint, the shadows that define the brightness, the voids that delineate form. They exist not to diminish you, but to sharpen perception, to awaken discernment, and to illuminate the infinite value of what is authentic, alive, and generative. And so you walk forward, not in fear, not in judgment, but in profound clarity. Every interaction is now a meditation on energy. Every encounter becomes a reflection of your own resonance. Every hollow presence serves as a reminder that the soul is precious, that presence is power, and that life is meant to be lived consciously, intentionally, and vibrantly. In this quiet awakening, a deep truth settles within. The shadows exist only because the light does. The soulless exist only because the living radiate. And your soul, alive, unreplicable, and luminous, carries the secret of the universe itself. The eternal proof that essence, awareness, and presence are the ultimate forces in a world filled with illusion. You do not need to fight, you do not need to chase, and you do not need to conquer. You simply need to be. To inhabit your own energy fully, to radiate presence with unwavering attention, and to allow the invisible currents of life to flow through you. And in doing so, the world around you transforms, not because you have changed it, but because you have awakened to the eternal truth, that life, essence, and soul cannot be shadowed, only reflected, and only appreciated by those who see clearly.